this, and there we are. That's
There
like an
you
official,
go.
like real opening. Like now
That's
we're in
kinda
it.
cool. Yeah.
Bam, we're live.
There you go. You give somebody. Someone already uses that. You can't steal that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you can. He took it from somebody else, I'm sure.
How about hello, Wisconsin? Or good morning, Vietnapolis.
Ooh, that's problematic.
Is that problematic?
Yeah.
Oh man. Cool. Awesome.
Well,
yeah. So this is cool. I'm excited. So welcome to Two Bros. I almost like rounds after rounds. Two Bros in a Box. And hey, now watch this. Ready? Hey, and make sure you if you love us, like the video, leave a comment, and smash that like button. Subscribe. Anyway, this is gonna be so much fun. I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this. It's gonna keep.
Does it have built-in sound effects?
I bet I could add sound effects. It does have built. Well, no, yeah, because I can add. See, I wonder if I could because I can add music. Ready? So here's the music. So here's background music. This one's called Into Space.
That's like free.
Yeah, but I bet I could download a sound effect.
And that could be like you could have that playing over top of the graphic at the front,
right?
As sort of like because they've done that with like the release show or like I was wondering how they got that graphic.
Yeah, but I'm wondering
it's like a cheesy like Saved by the Bell sort of like graphics happening.
Yep, and I can just loop that, have background music playing, keep my microphone muted until I'm ready to go.
That's
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you are first class there, Eric B. Hoyt.
That's right.
Thank you.
That's fun. Cool. Well, awesome. Well, yeah, we're here with Coach Ariel, this is awesome because this is the first time, Jack, you and Ariel have met.
It is.
And I think
virtually.
Yes.
I could.
And I don't shake down there. You got to do a high five. When you shake down low, it looks awkward.
That's a different podcast. That's a different website.
That's the one. That's the one where you have to pay a little extra for the sideshow. So yeah,
just like that. 2 minutes in, HR jar already filling up.
Here we are. I prefer the HR jar over the HR bin. If I'm going to profit off my my lack of judgments, I'd rather profit off my lack in judgment. Lack in judgment.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. Figured it out. So cool. Well, I'm excited. Yeah. So Ariel, one of our I say newer coaches, but now you've been here. When did you get here?
July?
August.
Yeah, we moved here in July, but I started in like September, October-ish.
Yeah. And then Jack, you've heard me sing her praises when it came to the holiday party or the managing the
that was a huge success. That's awesome.
Yeah, like that's the kind of stuff you're made for.
I really enjoyed that. I thought it was a good turnout. I think everybody had a good time too.
I think so too. Especially Jack at one point. I won't say his real name. Let's just say his name sounds like Schmob Schmicker. At one point was crawling on the ground, meowing like a cat.
Whoa! Yeah. Had they been pre-gaming before they showed up?
Yes, I think a lot of time passed from the time they started to the time they showed up to where there was some pre-gaming going on. I just have a feeling.
That's pretty funny.
But it was awesome. It was really cool.
So, it was fun. No one would leave, which was a good sign.
Exactly. That's always a very good sign. So, congrats.
So, but I figured, Ariel here. I like it. This is kind of a get to know the coach situation. So we can learn a little bit about you, and then also I have this wonderful video of you doing something. I think it'd be awesome if we critiqued you.
Oh my God! You threw her on the hot seat. You didn't even tell her. Did you not? You didn't know that was about to happen, did you?
No,
that's awesome.
Thanks.
Wow.
No, it's very low stakes. It's just
And this is your quarterly review.
right. By the way, yes. By the way, your job is on the line. Your job is on the line
Even
today.
better.
If that's okay. So cool.
Oh, man.
So anyway, well, yes, Ariel. Hi, welcome. Where are you from?
Originally, I was technically born in Arizona, but I grew up in Oregon. I moved to Oregon when I was like 1, and that's where I was raised and stuck there. I could consider myself an Oregonian, but that's where Colin and I met, and we've been all over the place with military. But yeah, Oregon. Short answer.
Well, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to pretend like it's not there.
Sorry,
Be
I
more
was,
casual.
Did she just you just looked up? What does this say?
yeah.
So you just generated that, but that could be generated, or is that something like as the comments come in, the producer, our non-existent producer, would be in the background and would type that in?
So both. So I pre-typed a bunch of these and had them ready to go. But if we had a live chat going right now, I could take one of those comments and just
type it in.
right there. Yeah.
Copy and paste.
So yeah, I basically just hit a button that says add to screen. Like if this was a comment, boom, live viewers. I just pops on up, shows you that is, and then right back. Boom.
Nice. That's very cool.
Yeah, dude. That's like legit.
Yeah,
You're legit.
I'm
Too
trying.
legit to quit.
Right.
Uh-oh.
See, that's where I upload the song, and then the video gets taken down for copyright infringement.
Yes. No, I think it's like 6 seconds. You have like 6 to
6 seconds.
50,
Put up 2 songs, but that's great.
seconds.
So awesome.
So Oregon, where in Oregon did you guys grow
Eugene.
up?
Yeah, Eugene
Okay.
Valley. When I was able to go to like all the same schools, which is nice. My kids don't quite get that experience. They've been bounced around so much, but all the same schools. And then my mom started a whale watching business over on the coast. And so
no shit. Okay.
does whale watching for gray whales, which is really cool. She did a lot of research on them as part of her PhD and stuff. And so during the summertime, we would spend the weekends or weeks on the coast. And then before she got into that, she did a lot of traveling because she was a professor. So she had summers off. We would go and do like crazy road trips all over. And she's very adventurous. So she took me a lot of places like Yellowstone and like all the national parks kind of on the eastern or western side of the States, and really got to get me used to traveling, I guess. So it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing that kind of stuff with her.
Sorry, I couldn't help
Anyway,
myself.
Yeah, I told her that. I just completely ignored if there was anything that bumped up.
I didn't hear a word you said. After you said gray whales, I stopped listening and typed that.
I gotta say, and I'm impressed. I was watching Ariel, so I wasn't even watching you to know if you were like typing, but it didn't even look like you had broken concentration. So that's impressive, E.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So did Colin was stationed up there? Is that how you guys? What's he doing?
We met before he joined the Coast Guard. He used to be, and his dad was a captain, and he was a deckhand and captain on his dad's boat. And that was kind of how we met. My mom started her whale watching business, and I would sell tickets out of like the ticket office, and then would go pick up his paycheck from his office. That was kind of like right next door. And we just kind of started hanging out. And then eventually, like, okay, you're the one. And then
you guys are like an Apple TV movie waiting to happen.
Like the setting alone, right? Like a whale watching business, and like
it's totally, yeah.
It's a great setting.
It's like the town is sort of like on the. It's like starting. It's on the down. The logging business is left, and so there's sort of like all these entrepreneurs, and the Coast Guard has some like major trauma or incident or something, and then you're like on the dock and.
And here's the girl next door working the front desk at the local whale.
Something happens, like your mom probably did something, or somebody does something to your mom, and it turns out it's like Colin's dad's fault or something. And so then Romeo and Juliet style, you guys, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when you originally told me how you and Colin met, you used the word stalking a little bit more. Right? You cleaning it up for the. Because you mentioned he constantly he was going to get his paycheck. He constantly stopped in and saw you.
Made it a point to
Yeah.
continually stop by the office. He didn't really need to, but he made it a point like every day. So
That's how I was when I first met Jack. That was I usually like I tried my best. Like I would just I saw that he was coaching, and it would happen just kind of like, oh, look, Jack's coaching. I guess I'll work out again today. Oh, weird.
Came to like 3 classes in a row.
Yeah.
Well, I better do some accessory work in the corner with this camera.
So yeah, how did you guys meet?
Not too far.
Yeah. Eric could not get depth in the bottom of his squat ever. And
True.
so, yeah, I just had to spend a lot of time with him.
In my squat.
In his squat. I was coaching at what was Old Bay, where TrueCore is now.
Mhm.
And you came in. I don't think I did your foundations, but you came in to like the 5:30 or 6:30, whichever one of the morning classes.
Yeah.
I was coaching consistently, and we just kind of hit it off. I think you were working at Under Armour that ended, and we had a nice like heart to heart. And I told him he should be a coach. He'd be awesome at it. And so he went and got his level 1, and then flash forward like 2 or 3 years later, and I needed somebody to coach the kids class who I was ready to kill them because they were all my neighborhood kids and my kids, and out of the garage here. And so he did that, and then like 6 months later, Fairwind started.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Which was like
that was 17, 18. Yeah.
Yeah, which was like 2 years ahead of our timeline.
Oops.
Like we were in the garage and we're like, it'd be cool. We should open up a gym, but we were gonna wait till Jack retired from the Navy, and then just things happen in life. It's like, let's just
Why wait?
Start it now.
Yeah, exactly.
The neighbors were complaining. I wasn't happy at my current job. May my dad rest in peace. Worst and so fast. Yeah, the timeline got pushed up way quicker, and I think it all worked out in the end.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So Ariel, is he stationed here? Is Colin at the Annapolis, Baltimore, like one of the Coast Guard stations, and you guys are here temporarily, or is this now like we're here to stay type of thing?
No, he's stationed here. He's over in Annapolis, over at Thomas Point.
Yeah.
And he actually just made chief. We just found out he made the cut, and then he had the ceremony chief, which was awesome, but it also means that we leave sooner. So instead of being here for another 2 years, we're going to be leaving in 2024, which is bittersweet. We've never been to the East Coast before, so this was our first time over here. We were up in Washington a handful of times, like different areas up there. We went to Oregon, then California, then here. And we like it here, but we definitely want to get back home to the West Coast. But I don't know where we're going next. We won't find out until probably the end of the season. We'll get, put our picks in. They'll decide to go. There is a possibility we could stay in the area. I know Eric hates it when I say that, but it's true. There's Washington, D.C., and there's the yard and stuff. So there's possibilities that we could still stay within the area. Would be cool because this is our first house that we bought, and there's a lot of stuff we want to do. Obviously, we've made friends and have the community at the gym, and so it's bittersweet. Like, we want to stay, but at the same time, we also really want to go home because Colin can retire within the next 4 years. And so if we go back to Oregon, like, that would be our dream. If we go back to Oregon, get stationed there, he finishes the tour, and then we can just settle down and not have to move again because we'll already be where we want to be. So, but who knows? That may not be the case. We might go somewhere completely different and then just keep on going. So Colin's kind of like, he wants to retire at 20, but then again, part of him's like, well, maybe I should stay in just a little bit longer and, get like the higher 3 and all of that. So
yeah, especially if they start throwing E8 or possibility of E9 at them. That's a big, that E8 to E9 pay jump is. So that's senior chief to master chief. So if you made chief, it's E7, and then senior chief would be E8. And then, as Ariel said, your high 3, when you retire, you get paid what your last 3 years, if you had not been at that rank for at least 3 years prior to retiring. So there's, but a lot of times, like, especially if it's getting on past 20, you take orders. You're going to take orders for 2 to 3 years anyway. So yeah, but yeah, that pay jump for retirement and also like access to things as a retired a master chief, that E9 jump is a big jump. I'm sure the Coast Guard
Nice little life changer.
Yeah.
That's just, and it's also like what jobs open up. So like in the Navy, once you make E8, once a sailor makes E8, senior chief, they are eligible to go to the command master chief or command enlisted school. It's not the right name. It's something like that though, where at that point, then they're eligible. It's part of like one of the wickets to then be eligible to make E9. Once you make E9, then you're a master chief. You can be designated a command master chief. And so now you can go fill a role at a command where you are the senior enlisted member at the command. And it doesn't have to be what's called your rate. So EOD, you're bosun mates, right? So like you're a bosun mate and you're a bosun mate senior chief. You're probably going to go to a job where you are filling a role that a bosun mate, like you're in charge of other bosun mates or deck division or something bosun mated-ish. When you make master chief, a lot of times there's like billets like that for E9s, in that rating. But then you have the command master chief who can be any rating, and it actually changes your rating to CMD CM. So you are now a command master chief and you can go anywhere to fill a command master chief billet. And so like there's a command master chief of the Navy who works with the chief of naval operations. Does that make sense, Eric?
To an extent, yeah. Like it's a lot of, so there's basically a ladder, and the higher up you get the ladder, the more kind of freedom you get to be where you want to be.
I wouldn't say freedom. I would say access or opportunity to billets that that increase your scope of responsibility and the number of sailors, or there are even command master chief billets that are inter-service, that are joint. So like you could just go be like the senior enlisted at some joint command somewhere. So Army, Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps. I'm sure there's Coast Guard is in that mix as well. Though Coast Guard gets a little bit weird because they used to fall under the Department of Transportation during peacetime, Department of Navy in the wartime, but now with the Department of Homeland Security existing, they, since 2002 or 2003, permanently fall under the Department of Homeland Security.
I did not know that.
Separated. Yes. A lot of
man, they're I mean, even shit like, because they're CONUS, they don't fall under what's called Title 10. I forget what the title is, what the legal is, but Navy vessels and Navy personnel cannot conduct CONUS or continental United States or anything domestic law enforcement. Right. So if you were doing drug interdiction or any sort of intercoastal operations, you always have to have a Coast Guard personnel on board to actually conduct the search and seizure and the actual law enforcement actions. And actually during 03, 04, 05, 06, up to like 09, there were Coast Guard personnel permanently stationed over in the Gulf for that very reason, to board ships because we were operating under status of forces agreements and different rule of law stuff with Saudis and the Bahrainis and the UAE and that kind of stuff. And so you'd have to have a Coast Guard person with you to conduct any sort of anything that starts to become rule of law-ish, seizure, arrest, anything like that. Yeah. Coast Guard's pretty cool.
Yeah, Colin's got some pretty cool stories. When he got out of boot camp, he got stationed on a big boat, a 210-foot cutter, and they went down south and did a lot of drug, introduction or, just all of that kind of stuff. And like he got to go through the equator and see the Panama Canal and just did all of that and board boats and I don't know, something cool. So he's got some neat memories and whatnot from all that.
That's cool. And so you were a teacher? Is that what you said? Like you, did I catch that you said you had like a classroom or something? Is that?
My mom was a teacher. or
when you said something about I guess having the kids in the classroom or something. But I don't know like what you did before taking on coaching.
Just I used to be a preschool teacher. I've kind of done a little bit of everything. Like I tried Zumba for a little bit, and I was on and off doing preschool teaching. I really enjoy kids. And then once I got more into fitness, I was like, oh, I actually really enjoy like helping others find their passion with fitness as well. And so I realized like that was my main passion. And so I kind of just ran with it. And once we found CrossFit, it like sealed the deal.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Ariel's a member of the 3 Kids Club.
Yeah, 3 kids. Being outnumbered.
No twins in there?
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's how we hide. That's how Nicole hijacked the system. Just got a 2-fer, right? Didn't really enjoy the whole pregnancy part, so she just like, we always wanted 3, but she knocked out the last 2. Boom, boom. So
there you go. Yeah, my 13, and our youngest is almost 3, and she's the baby. So
that's a big spread.
Yeah, middle child is 8, so there's 5 years between the 2. It's actually some people say like, oh man, 13 and 3, that's a huge gap, but I actually really like it because our oldest Luke is incredibly helpful, and I can really count on him to be the extra hand that I need sometimes. And then our middle son is also really helpful, but he's more of like playful and still kind of in that child age still, like he hasn't gotten to the tween age yet, which is nice. So he's like the fun wild one. He's my wild child is what we call him. And then Ellie, she's just a girl, and so she's so different compared to the 2 boys, and she's just Mrs. Sassy Pants. having the age gap is fun because you get a little bit of everything with all 3 of them, and sometimes it's exhausting, but it's all worth it, of course.
I tell you, it was
cool.
awesome. The other night during the open party, Zizi and Ellie got into it over, I think it's Godzilla toy or something, and watching Luke come in and like mediate, and then like I can't think of a great word for it, but the way he was able to separate them and calm everyone down, assess the situation, was able to separate them, and had a conversation with Ellie over here and then Zizi over here, and then everything was roses. And when he was done, he just went back, sat back down, and like got on his game or whatever. Just like, all right, work here's done. Like it was so smooth. I was like, he was better at parenting that little scuffle than I ever am between Fiona and Everett. Like I was like, how did he do that? It was very. He's doing all right. He's a good big bro, that's for sure.
He is. Yeah. No, it's funny. Zizi and Ellie, they just like butt heads so much. Everything. They're both very headstrong, so they fight over it. Ellie even steps into Zachariah's room and get out of my room. It's my room. Don't touch my stuff. Yeah. And so it's lots of refereeing. I just switched both boys to homeschooling, and so everybody's home all the time now. And it's definitely been an adjustment for good reason, but playing the constant ref. But Luke does do pretty good. Now you catch him on the wrong attitude, then he'll like, bite at them like a dog. But
yeah,
it's fun. I really enjoy it, being home with them and stuff.
I like it too because it helps keep you available for some coaching.
yes, that's helpful too.
So
super smart.
That's right. I'll just throw that into. We got a smart coach. So you got into. How long have you been doing CrossFit? Because you mentioned you got into you were doing Zumba and go back. So when did you get into CrossFit?
It was about 9 or 10 years ago. I mean, it's been on and off because of transferring and stuff and pregnancies. I started out more, we explored running and Zumba and all the things, like fitness classes at the Y. I got really into fitness after that, just because I was really depressed. And then once I found fitness and realized how much I enjoy working out and how good I would feel, I was just trying everything. And then I became a beach body coach, and eventually I found CrossFit. And so 9 or 10 years. We actually came across it because a friend had invited us to an opening party, and not the open, but they had just opened the gym, and these are friends of the owner, and they're yeah, come, you guys like to work out and stuff, you might like this gym. And so this was up in Washington at the time. And like Colin was wearing jeans. I was wearing like jeans and thigh high boots and stuff. And so they had like a mini burpee competition. I can't remember. It was like as many burpees for a minute or something like that, something along those lines. And it was like, Colin, do it, do it, do it. And so, you know, he's super competitive. And so he did it. And of course he won. And he ended up winning like a free month membership to the place.
You hear that? Of course he won. Of course he won.
I mean, of course. The way he pushes on burpees, you've seen his push like this. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he wanted the free membership, and then they had like the rope out, and I ended up being able to climb the rope, even in like my boots and stuff. And I hadn't done rope climbing since literally elementary school, and that was just fun for me. It's like, oh, this is like a giant playground for kids or for adults. Like I just really, really had fun, and so we were trying to set up, you know, like the foundations and everything, and it just didn't work out with Colin's schedule because he was on a boat at that time, so he was in and out all the time. And so he's like, you know, why don't you just take my membership for the free month and try it out? I was like, oh, okay, sure, why not? And the gym owners were totally fine with that. And as soon as I started, I was hooked. I have not been able to find anything else that I enjoy more than working out for CrossFit. That was a really long way to say it, but yeah.
It's about that's yeah. That's I think everyone's story has this
pretty
kind of
standard.
about yeah. So where it goes. Minus the thigh high boots. That's the first time I've heard thigh high boots in an introduction to CrossFit.
So you might be onto something.
Yeah. Right? Climbing. I mean, rope climbs. Like people bring in the tall socks. Maybe thigh high boots are the way you need to get into rope climbs.
Yeah.
Which rope? Heels. Somewhere to like got like a place you can like.
Oh yeah.
Lay up on the rope in there, right? Like all kinds of
Oh, man.
Yeah. So
that might be
Eric's, look at that. I just thought you see his brain. It was like smoke coming out.
You know, it's so funny.
Right,
it's unfortunate that Alex moved away because I'm pretty sure Alex had a pair of thigh high boots in size 13 that I could have totally tested that out.
There you go.
That would be great to see.
Oh my gosh. So how long were you doing it until you got into coaching? Was it the same gym or was it when you moved to California that you got into coaching?
No, actually, so that was up in Washington where we started. And that was, you know, I was always like scaling everything. Like I'd done weightlifting in high school, but I never thought I would be able to get like strict pull-ups or keeping pull-ups or lift really heavy. Like I was just there to move my body and I was competitive, but nothing crazy. And then we moved to Oregon after that. And we looked into gym. Anytime we transfer, we always look for church and CrossFit. Those are two things. Like, okay, what's around, church or CrossFit? And I was so thankful because it's a smaller town, and the fact that they had a CrossFit gym there in Newport, Oregon, was like, holy cow, this is awesome. And I dropped in to like check out pricings and stuff. And at the time, it just didn't work with our budget and stuff. You know, our paycheck changes every time we move, and so we had to wait. And so we ended up waiting like a whole year, which sucked, but at the same time, like it was just necessary. So we went back into it like a year later, and I was finally able to like join and really get into it. And I realized that I could push myself more and actually, you know, get those kipping pull-ups and get those PRs. And like, I got more and more into it, even more so. And I don't know, I just fell in love with it more. And then working with people, helping people just in class, like not stepping over the boundaries of the coach, of course, but, you know, explaining like, oh, well, this is what I do, you know.
You say that haven't been on the end of that, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, it's all good. I can appreciate all I can get. Then I realized like I really did enjoy helping people explain it. And then when they could actually get it because of the things that I'd helped say, it just clicked like, oh, I love to do this for people. And I love to, you know, CrossFit is all about being healthy and using functional movements in real life. And so like how I want to help people do that all the time. And so we figured out that up in Portland, they had like the level 1. And so Colin and I both went. And that was 2017 or 18. I think it was 18. 2018 is when we did that.
Who did your level 1?
Yeah.
Who? Do you remember who staff was?
Yeah, I have no idea. I have a picture.
On the West Coast, it might be some. You what?
I'm trying to think. What's her name? Who has that box in
Portland,
Seattle, outside Seattle. It's a beautiful place. It's the Natalie. It's like Natalia, not Shire. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah.
Eric?
Yeah. I feel like
This place, like, you don't even want to spill chalk. It's so freaking beautiful.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Uh,
What was the name of the affiliate in Oregon? In Newport? CrossFit Newport?
CrossFit Newport, yep. And
damn, how'd they score that one?
Right?
That's a good.
the
How
town.
long they must be around for a while, because there's a handful of Newports up and down the East Coast, and also there's Newport, California, right? Like there's a ton of that's like a good one. It's like CrossFit South Central, right? Or CrossFit Creek.
Right. Which we were denied, right? Was that one of ours? What was our
Back Creek? We tried to get their
CrossFit Back Creek, yeah. And they said no locational
like
or something like that. Yeah.
Well, no, they just came back. It's like it's too close to too many others in and around. So they said you could do Fairwinds.
Yeah.
And so then you just branded us.
Yes.
It's fine. We'll just do our own brand. Whatever. Which is good because come 2020, shit hit the fan. So
yeah,
everyone was doing their own branding.
Worked out okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, how often were you like immediately rolled into the coaching rotation there at Newport, or was it sort of like how'd they work it?
Let's see, how did we do it? We did, I think, kind of like an internship. Like I would shadow for you make me pick my brain. I think I shadowed for a bit, and then I kind of stepped in. This was like before I actually got my cert. I would really pick the brain of the head coach. You know, he would explain what's going on, and then he'd have me like practice a little bit just to get used to, running class and how everything would go. And then I had to do, I think, at least 2 months of that, I think, before I did the course. And then as soon as I got the course, Colin was like, she's ready. She can totally do it. She's got it. I was hesitant. I was like, I don't know if I'm ready. And he's like, she'll start on Monday. And he's always been like my push stuff, because I can really get in my mind like, oh, I don't know. And he's like, you're fine. Just go do it. So he helped me. So once I got like the final, yes, you're a coach, I'd been working on it up to that point. So I was technically ready. I was just really hesitant in my mind and my confidence.
What was the thing that most surprised you about your level one?
I learned a lot. I think I wasn't quite prepared for getting put in the center and then getting pointed out, which is
of your movement or of your coaching?
Of the movement.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I always get nervous being like on the spot, and so that I wasn't quite ready for that. But I definitely learned a lot at the same time. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize I moved like this. And so as they, did the different cues on my movements and whatnot, I was able to take that away. I'm like, okay, so when I squat like this or whatever, I want to make sure I do it properly in the gym. And so that was a big takeaway of just having them see and tell me what I was doing wrong that I could fix. So that was really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was a fun weekend. His mom, actually, we called her up. It's like, so do you want to be grandma of the year and watch the kids? Because she's in Idaho. And it's like, do you want to watch the kids for the weekend while Colin and I go to Portland? Because my mom wasn't available because that's her busy season for whale watching during the time frame that we went. And she's like, oh, yeah, I'll be there. And so she flew just to watch the kids for the weekend. And they did all the fun things with grandma. And Colin and I were able to completely enjoy like the class. We got a hotel, Saturday, Sunday. And so it was a fun getaway for us as like a couple. So
it's so funny you mentioned Idaho. We were just having a conversation this weekend with so my oldest is 19, and then we have twins who are going to be turning 17 in April. And so the 17-year-olds are starting to think about college and where they want to go and stuff. And so a handful of them and their friends and stuff were all in the kitchen here. One of them mentioned Idaho, and I don't know if it was one of my boys or one of the other knuckleheads or whatever. And they were saying something about like, well, you can going to visit a school that is up in Northwest Idaho, and they're like, well, we can just drive out there. And I was like, do you know where Idaho is? And they're like, yeah, it's like near Michigan, right? And like not even close. I was like, Idaho is basically the West Coast. Like especially Northwestern Idaho. Like you are right on the border. And I was like, and so we like even pulled up Google Maps and I showed them and they're like, that's not that far. I'm like, zoom in, man. It's like 3 Wyomings away from Michigan.
Yeah.
I love. I have a former CrossFit friend who they used to be. I think they still have property here on the East Coast. You remember? Oh my God, I just dumped on their names, but it doesn't matter. Who moved out to Idaho and operate their business out of the same hangar as the Smoke Jumpers, who have a major operation out of Northwestern Idaho. And she would send us pictures and stuff, and I'd be like, man, get out there and take a trip. That's some good country out there. But yeah, that's kind of funny. Sorry, totally non-related, but
no, we like it there. Our kids, because Colin's little sister, they're 12 years apart, but they have a very close relationship, and so that automatically makes our kids really close with her. They love Auntie Bree, and so she's in Idaho right now too. And they always tell us like, we want to move to Idaho. We want to go to Idaho. Like they just got dumped with a ton of snow, and they're like, we want to go play in the snow in Idaho. Like,
yeah.
Nice.
Fishing, mountains. I mean, that's like people don't realize it's not like it's flat or it's it's like the Midwest. I'm like, nah, man. There's like mountains, elk hunting, salmon fishing, like crazy. Yeah, it's pretty awesome out there.
It's home of that one giant NASA satellite, Sputnik.
Pretty Eric, do you watch The Last of Us on HBO?
No, I've not watched it. No. I hear good things.
Yeah, it's good. It's worth it. It's worth the and now you can binge it because all 8 seasons of the first episode, for all 8 episodes of the first season are out. But there's a running joke where the main star has a book of puns that somebody gave her, and so it's all like beat up or whatever. But so she endears herself to the other main star, and through these puns, and one of them, I'll ruin it. It's not one of them. What makes do you know what makes Earth cookies better than? Or no, do you know what makes moon cookies better than Earth cookies? They're a lot meatier.
That's good.
I think I got that one right, but it doesn't matter. The effect is the effect.
Yes.
So, yeah. So when are you thinking you're going to take your level 2, or do you have plans to take your level 2 while you're here, or like how long has it been? So you said you did your cert in 19, 20. What was it? What'd you say?
So my cert is expired. During COVID, I was pregnant with Ellie, and I had a horrible pregnancy with her. Just like preterm labor, like all the things. I was in the hospital nonstop. And so between that and then COVID, and then once I had her, I thought about going back to the gym, but they had the really strict COVID rules of like no other kids able to come, and I didn't have a babysitter. So I wanted to get back into coaching after all of that, but Ellie has like a heart condition. And so it was, got to look out for like her health as well. And so there was a lot of things that was really keeping me from pursuing that. Cause they were my focus, the kids and her, especially with her health. Yeah. And so I ended up letting it lapse because at the time, like we didn't have the money, didn't have the time frame, and it just wasn't in the cards. Like, I don't know when I'll get back to this. I loved it and enjoyed it and whatnot, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. And then Colin ended up having to stay in California, but we moved from California early and went to go stay with my mom earlier last year for a couple months, just because like transferring here, we all wanted to transfer to Maryland together, but because of his last day, it wasn't lining up with like us moving out of our apartment. I don't know. It was the whole thing. Regardless, we moved up with my mom temporarily for a couple months until Colin was ready to leave. Then we could all go to Maryland together. And so back to Oregon with my mom, we went back to Newport, which is where I got started with coaching and everything. And I was like rekindled on how much I loved it and enjoyed it. And I was able to see all my friends again that I used to train. And, it like really like sparked it all back up. And I ended up coaching again while there. And it's just like, yep, I really like this again. Like I never really lost it. It's just the timing was just not right in California, because I coached for a little bit in California, but then everything happened.
Yeah.
And so that was the motivation, like, okay, I want to keep doing this. And then we got here and met Eric, and, you know, it's like been one thing after another. So I have it scheduled for us to do our level 1. Colin and I are doing it again. And then as soon as I get that, I'm going to start looking, okay, let's do level 2.
What's level 2?
Before we move. So.
That's cool. Yeah, you won't. I don't think you'll be disappointed redoing the level 1. It's I mean, in all honesty, I think if somebody were to only just do their level 1 over and over and over again and never pursue the level 2, it's not a, I don't know. It's not. It doesn't diminish the impact of the level 1 experience. It's just a slightly different focus. Do you know what I mean? Where, as you said, even like in level 1, it's more geared towards critiquing your movement as the athlete. There's like some coaching focus, but it's primarily like, if you're going to get that, from my perspective, if you're going to get that coaching focus, you're watching the flow master and the instructors. And do you know what I mean? Like, you're seeing their cueing. Whereas the level 2 is specifically geared towards you as a coach. Like they are now coaching coaches specifically for timing of the cue, the other side of the 6 fundamental elements of coaching. And I think you'll appreciate, having done it, 5 years ago or whatever, but now having coached so much, I think you'll really enjoy kind of that re-examination of the level 1 manual. And then definitely when you go to the level 2, I don't care who you are, like, unless you're a seasoned flow master or a Jason Ackerman level 4, I think anybody who goes to the level 2 and you are the first time you're put on the spot to teach the press or push press or med ball squat clean or something, everybody fucks it up. Like, it doesn't matter. It does not matter, because you have somebody's deliberate eye on you, catching every single little thing you do wrong, plus the entire rest of the circle also watching you coach the movement. And it's great. Like, I mean, I
think you just sold her on the level 2, actually.
Yeah. But I mean, in a sense, it's like so would you rather that, where they're going to give you that honest and immediate feedback, or the clientele who, leave after 2 months because your coaching is subpar? Or, not to say that yours is, you know what I mean? But that's the way I look at it, is you're going to pay somewhere, right? So the cost is going to show up in some way or another. I would rather pay that in a little bit of humble pie than in 6, 7, 8 members across 2 or 3 months. Like, why doesn't Bobby come to class anymore? I don't understand. Like, what happened? And, well, I just didn't really like it and whatever. But get people who constantly, good coaching in and of itself brings all the boys to the yard. What's the
milkshake?
Come on, I can't believe you didn't pick up on that one, Eric.
Your coaching is a milkshake.
Yeah, your coaching brings all the boys to the yard.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And I was actually, my dad and stepmom really telling him earlier today how much I love and appreciate Coach Jim here, because Eric is good with helping coaches learn. And me doing my own videos for the whiteboard briefs and all of that, I get really nervous in front of a camera, but at the same time I can go back and watch it oh, okay, maybe I should have specified something there, or maybe not said that, or you got to learn and grow. And he's been so helpful with helping us coaches grow, and me especially, because I love it. It's not comfortable, but I love it. I get better, and I want to learn, and I eventually, we do want to open our own gym. So this is the best time to learn as much as I can. And although it scares the crap out of me sometimes, everything that you just said, I don't like it, but I know it's so good, because you got to put pressure on something to make it a diamond, right? So
pressure on the diamonds.
Yeah, and I think one of the that I remember just starting to film workouts for something I was doing, and it might have been JT, which is one of the hero workouts where it's the push-ups. It's like ring dips, push-ups, handstand push-ups, or something in that order. And I think it's like 150 of each or 50 of each or something. It's ridiculous. I mean, you're down to singles super fast on all three movements, and you're like 50, 50, 50. And I remember watching myself sit there or stand there, and I'm like, what are you doing? I'm screaming at the screen like, he's resting again? And Nicole, my wife's sitting next to me, and she's like, there it is. Yep, handstand push-ups, ring dips, push-ups. And I'm screaming at the screen, and she's like, what are you watching? I'm like, I film myself doing JT out in the garage or whatever. And she goes, so you're watching yourself work out? And I'm like, yeah, but I kind of post them just to make sure I don't look like an idiot. She goes, you're using third-person pronouns to talk to yourself. It's like, he's an idiot. What's he doing? Why is he still just standing there?
This guy sucks.
Yeah, it's like, what a wuss. Get back on the damn rings. So there's an objectification, which I think is helpful once you do that enough, that yes, it's still you, and yes, it's still uncomfortable, and sure, it's always like, I hate the sound of my own voice. But after a while, you recognize like, oh, well, okay, well, that's what I look like, clearly, because that's what I'm seeing, which means that's what everyone else is seeing. So it's no wonder when I'm demoing the snatch and everybody is, pulling their arms early or shooting their ass in the air or not getting under the bar or whatever. It's because when I demoed it, I did the exact same thing. So that like sense of objectively being able to measure my own movement and then orient that or correlate that with the language that I'm using to describe the movement, the closer I can get those two to being in harmony, just is another like tool in that toolkit of, I know when I'm demoing a squat that I'm getting to full depth. And keeping that midline secure and not getting the butt wink, because you can feel it. And you know that because you've filmed yourself enough times doing it to see it, that's what it is. And so then like the timing stuff and the language and the positioning and like all that jazz gets into it. And this is a Glassman thing. Those are all free reps of developing your coach's eye, because I'm by myself all the time, or at least like I'm always around, and I'm always around with my phone. So if I've got 10 minutes before class and I quickly film myself doing the Bergner warm-up, I now have, an athlete to be able to watch and see like, oh, early pull, oh, didn't get hip extension, oh, jumped on the toes, oh, landed soft, right? Like all of that stuff. And I can see it more often. And I can then also demo badly for myself and see how would I cue that? Well, what would that look like? Like if I always have something not, getting full hip extension before pressing back out on that jerk or something, I could mess with that on my own and film it. And now I'm getting that two birds with one stone, where I have my own video to be able to watch and develop my coach's eye. And I'm getting more comfortable seeing myself on camera, despite never being comfortable seeing myself on camera, right?
Yeah.
Like that. So it's that, that little hidden thing of nobody ever is comfortable. You just, for me at least, reframed it as, okay, this has utility, which allows me to get out of my own uncomfortable way.
Yeah.
It's been great too, because I have had them, like, whether it was just video themselves doing the whiteboard brief and then we put it on Slack and review it, or it's coaching the snatch, or it's even just running the warm up. I think I've had them do that, and it's been a great tool, not just for like you as the coach, like we're going through and we're critiquing it, but then the rest of the staff as well. Like I remember I don't remember what it was exactly. You were coaching something and you used a cue that I'd never heard before that like clicked. And it was like, even for me, who's like the one that's like doing the critiquing, I'm like, oh, that was actually like really good. And so it's also been a great tool for you to develop as a coach, for me, like watching develop as a coach. Because then I also realized like, oh, Ariel does this thing. You know what? I do that thing too. And then even from the staff standpoint too, like everyone's learning from each other. So it's really cool. Like, yeah, I mean, I have no problem being on camera. At this point, I feel uncomfortable not being on camera. In fact, I'm looking for cameras to get on, and I don't know why they're not around more.
Y'all want to pull out your phones and film me right now? Feel free. I love it. And then send them to me and tag Eric V.
So, yeah, I mean, not having a camera on me is like, you know, when I feel like I'm having a decent hair day, you might as well be throwing a sheet over the Mona Lisa if you don't have a camera on me. So that's just how I feel about some of this. But
your smile is quite elusive, my friend.
So, but yeah, that whole videoing yourself is poor Ariel. Like the first time I even evaluated her, like she was like sweating, broke out in hives. Like she was so nervous. I'm pretty sure her feet were literally gorilla glued to the floor. Like she was so nervous. Awesome. And I remember like even at the end of that, without even videoing, I was like, okay, cool, we got this one out of the way, and it was so cool. Like I had nothing.
You can only go up from here.
Yeah, you know, and that's exactly what she did. And I think watching videos is the same thing. Like, and like sharing with someone too who may have a better eye than you. Like it's so nerve-wracking at first, but each time you get a little bit more comfortable with it. And you've definitely come a long way with, like, you've always been open to critique and going over stuff, but now just seeing you, like, it's not as apparent that you're that nervous having a camera on you. Like you are able to kind of let yourself shine through a little bit more, which has been great, because that's what the people enjoy.
Thank you.
But it has been
nervous wreck.
It also, I feel like it gives context. Sorry, I totally interrupted. What were you gonna?
Oh no, it's fine. I was just saying, like, I was definitely a nervous wreck. Like the first day that I started class, I was like shaking. Ridiculous. Anxiety gets the best of me. And then
right. I feel like oftentimes that anxiety then stems from, like, you're supposed to have all the answers. You're supposed to be perfect. They're supposed, right? Like that imposter syndrome kicks in and all that jazz. But this whole process for me gives context to all the stuff that's in the level 1, and then that kind of gets layered on top of that with the level 2, with the, you know, the timing, the precision of the cues, and the, you know, the other aspects of those coaching fundamentals. But it makes the stuff that seems so simple now makes so much more sense. And one of the ones that, especially for me, that always stands out and would be like the first go-to with a new coach is, you are either talking or moving. You're never doing both at the same time.
Yeah.
And until you can move perfectly, or say exactly what you want to say, we can't put the two together. And so, and then like the context of that is the same thing of like static cue, dynamic cue, of like, until you can see the problem when they're static, you're not allowed to cue them while they're moving. And until you can see the movement error while they're moving and cue them while they're moving, you're not allowed to have them stop. Right. So it's this like constant, it's an and or an or.
Yeah.
And you have to be awesome at them, at both of them. Then we get to put them together. And Shelly was the best, where she could move really well or she could talk. But the second she talked and moved,
hasn't changed.
Like, there was something where she couldn't do, like, it was like, and I don't remember what it was. It might have been the snatch or something. And she like afterwards we were watching it. She's standing there watching it with the PVC pipe, and she like finished, and she like, what the? And like threw the PVC like across the gym. Cause I was like, oh, you're going to be so mad when you see this. She's like, what the hell am I doing?
She and I were just talking about the first time she ever coached the Bergner warm up.
Oh, that
Like,
might have been it. That might have been the video.
It probably was. Like,
Yeah.
I think everyone remembers the first time they coached the Bergner warm up. They finished the whole warm up in about 42 seconds, and didn't see a single rep.
Yeah, or it's the opposite. They take 42 minutes to coach the Bergner warm up, and it's like, we got a 15-minute EMOM to get to, and they're still holding PVC pipes, brother. Like, what you doing? We got
overhead yet.
We got to get this show on the road. But that establishment of context around why some of those sort of seemingly random heuristics of talk or move, don't do both, right? Line people up in like catty corner, like off whatever center lines, put them in a circle, right? Like all of this stuff starts to
don't hide behind the rig, Joe. Sam.
Right. Don't put shit in your hands to coach, right? Because it's like, what are you doing by that? By having something in your hand, you just remove the ability to do a tactile cue. So it's like these little things of, oh, that totally makes sense of why I would do that or why I wouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm. And
when you put it on camera and you see what the athlete sees from their perspective, it's like, oh, that totally makes sense now. I get it. For me, that's the part that helps alleviate that anxiety of, because nobody even gives a shit about you. They're so freaking wrapped up in their own crap and their own, like, I'm not going to be able to do this. Oh my God, they haven't even talked about it. I can't do pull-ups. What do you mean I can't do pull-ups? Oh my gosh, she hasn't even talked about whether I'm going to do pull-ups. It's like, I'm going to fucking get there. Take a breath. We're doing Spider-Mans right now. Like, geez, we're not even talking about the pull-ups yet. And then you realize, like, oh, because behind me, right here on the board, is that word pull-ups.
Yeah.
And they're staring at it. I want them to be staring at me, but they're only staring at that word pull-ups. So I better address this. That's a plant, not pull-ups. But I better address this thing that they're all worrying about, AKA the workout brief.
Yeah.
Right? Like that. And so it's like, oh, that makes sense why that needs to be first, because like a 3-year-old, until I tell them, like, the second I say cookie, all they're thinking about is cookie. Am I going to get the cookie? When's mom going to give me the cookie? Are we going to have the cookie? What do you mean I got to put my shoes on? I want the cookie. When am I getting the cookie? Can I have the cookie now? Do I get the cookie after, before the shoe? Cookie, right? She's got a cookie. I see the cookie on her mouth. And it's like, yeah. So
yeah.
As soon as that has that context to it, to me, now Eric's all he's thinking about is a cookie.
I'm currently Googling pictures of cookies. Yeah, it's true. What's that saying? Like, no one's thinking about you as much as you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true.
What's your least favorite movement to coach?
You know what's funny is I used to get really intimidated with like the snatch and the clean. I didn't like all the steps, and leading up to it, I was very uncomfortable. And then we did that clinic, and something.
Jared Ederton's.
Yeah, it just clicked, and it was having him explain it was just everything I needed to be able to, because I learned a lot, and so everything I learned I was able to transfer over. So that wasn't my least favorite, but now I think it's like gymnastic stuff is a little more challenging, because some of the things I can't do, like muscle ups and stuff, like that kind of stuff that I can't personally do, it's still a challenge, because I can't take from my own experience, like, oh, you just do like this, because I can't do it. So I would say more of the gymnastic stuff, like muscle ups.
Sure, because I don't know, this. Did that click? Did it click there? Oh. No, in all fairness, what was that? That was one of the last bars in the
open,
right?
Gosh, my feet were right on that. I was like,
congratulations! That was the 125.
No, that was 95.
That was 95.
Yeah,
that's what she got to. Yeah,
my max is so far is 105, and so
damn, that's pretty good.
The fact that I was able to rep out 6 of those. I was pretty
Yeah,
excited.
that was like
Yeah.
right before the bidder. That was like, I'm messing with you there. That was like your last rep at the end of the workout, and like 10 pounds off your max. At that point, you're just like gripping and ripping just to get it done.
Oh,
Well, so that's so how do you, so now having been through this, you know, a couple times as athlete, as a coach, whatever, how do you delineate that difference of, you just had a population go through the open where, right, like legitimately, and I would say rightfully, justifiably celebrating that lift. And despite its atrociousness for mechanics or, you know, whatever, who gives a shit, right? Because the goal was take that bar from the ground overhead, one movement, aka snatch. How do you now transition from that priority to the day in, day out class priority of mechanics consistency and then intensity? Because that was all intensity, right? Like we just said, F it, dial up the intensity dial. I don't give a shit about the other stuff. As it, like, how do you navigate that with your kind of everyday class?
Well, I think it comes down to, like, you know, if you practice the movements enough and you get efficient with them and you're moving properly, like even when though you have those intense moments, hopefully you've practiced it enough to where it's more ingrained so you can still do it, even if it's a challenging weight. I like doing the 95 weight. I never thought I would be able to get that high. Now, obviously my form was all over the place, but because I have had a little more work with it, I was able to do it in the open. Before, I mean, there's no way I would have been able to do 95 pounds. And it's just because I've had a little more work. So the more you can practice in class and, you know, really focus on your form, I think it's just, you know, it's the technique and the timing and everything. If you can get it right as much as you can, even when you're trying to go in more intensity, you're still able to hopefully keep as much of your form as possible, I guess, is my guess. I don't know.
It's funny. I've been so we switched to Mayhem affiliate.
Yeah, I noticed. That was pretty cool.
And so it's had, you know, it is a loaded class plan, which I remember we were going through it. We made the switch. I was like, you guys got to be floor generals on this one. And then I make adjustments here or there because you know, we want to make sure there's actually time for coaching. But you know, it's been at the end of a strength cycle, and there were last week there was the deadlift, back squat, bench press. This week it's like building the heavy, but it was 85%, and then even then you have 10 minutes to build to a heavy single. And last week
did you see Jamie Higia 75 seconds from 105 to 205?
No,
clean and jerk.
No.
Yeah. I mean, she's joking, but she's like, we show up 15 minutes late to class, and you have 3 minutes left to work up to a heavy single clean and jerk. That's what you like. And there's two, like there's her, and then so there's 25s on the bar, and she does the first one, and then they throw 10s on. She does boom. She just keeps doing it, and it's the last. Yeah, the last two she has to take a little bit of extra seconds to get it. But anyway, sorry. So it's totally doable. I mean, you can easily work up to 85%.
Yeah, right. It's no problem. And what I'm trying to stress too is like, you and I have had this conversation in the past about having a part 1 and part 2, and like, okay, if you have a strength portion and a metcon, like where does the focus lie? And so, you know, there are these strength pieces, but the metcon is the metcon. That's kind of the meat and potatoes of the workout. Like letting this strength be, we've talked about sub-maximal loading. You don't have to max out to get stronger. And with the way this program is laid out, there's going to be a lot of extra strength work built in. It's not a full class dedicated to getting heavy. You do have a little bit of time. And if we keep that mindset where, look, if you just move consistently well, because PRs, we all know PRs get a little ugly, but that's the beauty of a PR. At the end of the day, you got the lift up for the rest of your life. That is your PR. It may not have been your prettiest lift, but I guarantee you that 85 to 90% is probably actually much prettier and still feels pretty heavy. And if you just kind of keep teetering around that every once in a while, that PR will eventually look a lot cleaner and then won't actually be your PR anymore. And so I think that's the way I'm trying to get people to don't come into these classes and see 10 minutes to build to a heavy single deadlift. It may not be your max deadlift day. You may not PR today, but if it gets heavy and it looks good, you just got better at this thing. And I promise that new PR will be there, and it'll be much prettier when you get there. I think that's where it's trying to find that.
Well, having been doing Mayhem for about 8 months now, it's not new. I mean, it's been around since
2 years.
It's been in 2008. The idea of relative perceived effort, and I mean, it's been around before then, but in the CrossFit world, I mean, they actually did a whole thing on main site for like 6 months where they used relative perceived effort, RPE, they weren't prescribed weights. It was just do what feels at a 7 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10. But Bergner adopted it a couple of years ago, and they use Bergner as the primary. They use Sage as their primary programmer for all the strength stuff. But in your deadlift example, so right, if I were to say to Ariel, like, what's a heavy deadlift? If I say to you, what's a heavy single deadlift, and say to me, what's a heavy single deadlift, that's got so many variables in it that are useful, but you've entered into an opportunity of re-education for the entire gym population. That we're going to take the next 10 minutes doing single deadlifts, working up to a RPE of 7 for your final one. I want you to do at least 6, but no more than 15 in the next 10 minutes, right? Like something like that. So you bound it of like, okay, so if I'm going every minute and a half, I'm going to get at least 6.
At least 6.
That's not bad. If I go every minute on the minute, which is optimal, that's an EMOM.
Yeah.
I'm limited by how many times I can put fucking plates on the bar, right? So like that's going to limit it itself. And then I also gave you, even if somebody's a moron, what an RPE 7 out of 10 is. Like, it's not a 10 out of 10, dumbass. It's a 7 out of 10. And if you need more, sorry, that's my inside voice. That's the bubble. I'll keep that in the bubble. You wonderful human being of fitness.
That was a great effort.
Yeah. The 7 out of 10 means you can do 1, but if you had to, you could probably do 3 more before stuff really falls apart. And he has like a whole chart on that, which I'm sure you've seen or played around with. But now saying we're going to take 10 minutes to work up to a heavy deadlift, and you put those bounds on it, and somebody goes for a PR or comes back at you like, I didn't have enough time to work up to my heavies, to my max. And I'd be like, that's weird. I don't think I ever used that word. And actually, I think I specifically said 7 out of 10. Is your max a 7 out of 10? Right? So it right. Immediately allows for the conversation of, we are using this deadlift to build strength in a limited time across a movement that we are singularly focusing on for the next 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. And if they do it correctly, you coach it correctly, they're going to get warm. They're going to move their body through full range of motion through the majority of their joints. They're going to elevate their heart rate, and they're going to practice a movement that maybe, hip hinge, posterior chain, whatever shows up later in the Metcon or whatever's next, if you have part 2 or part 3 or whatever. I feel like that might be the definition of a general warm-up that I've read somewhere in like a manual about something, right? Like, so
a stage 1 manual or a
right?
Something like that. Yeah.
Using weightlifting as a warm-up is very difficult for the general population to wrap their head around. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because we're all still like, I got to jump on the bike for the next 5 minutes and then do a bunch of stretching and then do some dynamic range of motion and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, why can't I use gymnastics as my warm-up for my weightlifting, which we do? So why can't I use weightlifting as my warm-up for gymnastics?
Yeah.
So that sort of idea, I'm not opposed to multi-part hour-long classes. It's just the framing of the intention of each part
Yeah.
that it pushes that responsibility onto the coach, and without very specific guidance or kind of that intentional discussion. And then it also then asks of the athlete, listen, you little motherfuckers, like, quit being on your own program, right? This isn't the why, and you're not paying $15 a month to come do whatever the hell you want. Like, I'm in charge.
It's funny not
That's what you're paying me for.
Like tomorrow is the Bill do a heavy single deadlift, and then it's a dumbbell clean and jerk 2159 and lunges. Someone's like, tomorrow's deadlift day. I was like, there is deadlifting tomorrow, but it's not deadlift day. Like, it's my way of almost like holding back a little bit.
So what a great opportunity. Make them do dumbbell deadlifts. Don't even no barbells allowed on the floor.
I could do that. I won't do that.
I did it today. We had something similar because we're on the Masters Compete cycle.
Yeah.
So we had something, and it was supposed to be a barbell, but I went with a deadlift because it had been, the warm up had like some dumbbell accessory stuff. But I did dumbbell muscle cleans, kind of increasing like a 3x4. Then it was supposed to be muscle cleans, and then it's a clean pull, power clean to parallel, squat clean jerk. And so then same thing, and that was like a 5x. So you do that complex, you do 5 times. I did just increasing dumbbells, got up to 70s because there's going to be dumbbells, I'm sure, in quarterfinals. And then it was finished with a 5x1, 10 seconds up, 10 seconds down deadlift. And so I used the 70s. Make somebody, and you count it out, make somebody go for 10 seconds all the way on the way up with a set of dumbbells, hit the top, and then 10 seconds down, all the way down.
Deep burn.
Finish, rest for 30 seconds, do it again. So basically it's a 5-minute EMOM, right? Like, I'm pretty sure without touching the barbell, that's where the mayhem programming is genius.
Yeah.
You just got to have the flexibility or the freedom to change it up as you want to, need to, whatever. Yeah. Educating the peeps. They ain't in charge.
Right. Sometimes they think they are, but it's all well intentioned. So it's good stuff. Good stuff. Well, Ariel, so you listen to our podcast regularly, right?
I will be now.
So we like to close out with a gratitude of the week. And the backstory is this one podcast we used to do. They always had a pet peeve of the week, and it was always fun, but we wanted to come at it from a different perspective. And so we always close out with a gratitude for the week as our closing arguments.
That's cool.
So we're gonna.
Do you want to go first? Or you want Eric to go first?
Yeah.
Eric first.
Eric go first. Me, shocker. I said it on I said it on Friday during the closing ceremonies, but Jack, we talked about it a little bit last week where we asked people to get for bonus points for the open to give testimonials and stuff. And it was like it was like, I know it was for points, but you could tell there were plenty of people that like they put some like thought and heart into their testimonials, and to the point where it's like it really felt more like a personal message to like me and the gym. And some of them were they got me deep, dude. Like they were good, and it's so I really appreciate the people that did that. And it was that was kind of my gratitude. As I was going through those last week, like I was checking through them to make sure people got the points, and I'd read each one, and sometimes I had to get up for a minute and like, whew, okay, that was a good one. And then some of those two I might just keep for myself and in my own little personal box of sweetness. So anyway, that was my gratitude.
That's good.
Yeah. Wait. Now, is this like anything kind of gratitude, or is this more gym centered?
It totally can be whatever you want to do.
Wait, well, I can go next. I am super happy that my dad and stepmom are here. We just had Colin Sammy. Awesome. And then having my dad and stepmom here is really awesome because I don't get to see them very often. So I'm here. So it's really nice having family around, especially so far apart from our family right now.
That's very cool. Yeah, I agree with that. And I can appreciate that as being you are usually the people leaving and going to disparate places. It is always fun to have family come visit and hang out. Yeah, I totally get that. That's awesome. Mine's so stupid and simple. Today's Tuesday, so even if people are listening to this on Friday, today is National Pie Day. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, 3/14, yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't know that. So Nicole was she was like, I gotta swing by because she could do it in math class, and so National Pie Day, and I was like, that has got to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's so dumb. And she's like, well, teachers know it. Math teachers know it. And I'm like, of course they do. That's pretty cool, whatever. So she swings by John on the way to class or way to school this morning and sends me a picture of, she goes, Giant knows it's National Pie Day because they had a freaking thing up like, I was like,
wait, is it not
awesome.
Pie Day because it's Women's Month and women bake pie? Is that what it is? Am I getting that right?
Good job. Brought that HR jar all the way back around. Hit him in the front, hit him in the back. Nice job.
I couldn't help it.
So I don't know if my gratitude is the fact that it's National Pie Day, that it's Nicole knowing that it was National Pie Day, that it was Giant.
No, I think they can be more. I think they can both be true.
It's like all kinds of things. I'm kind of excited that I have a justifiable reason for eating a ridiculously large piece of pie at some point today.
Heck yeah, dude.
Maybe even multiple pies. I don't know, but I'm going to be eating some fucking pie. So, yeah. A Sam's Club size pie. You better believe it. Ariel, I got you. I'm on board, babe. That was awesome.
It's not even going to be, like, you're going to eat it in the car before you even go inside. Like, you're not even going to wait.
I got sweats, guys. I got sweats. I got pie sweats.
Nicole walks out. You're just like reclined in the driver's seat.
Yeah. Was that an apple or chip? I did it both. I did it three ways, all the way around. Pecan, apple, pumpkin.
The trifecta.
That's right. That's the Thanksgiving trifecta.
Yeah.
Joey, don't share food.
Awesome. Cool. Well, Ariel, thanks so much
for
facing your fears.
I feel a lot better. It took a little bit to open up, but I feel a lot better now.
Yeah.
Does this earn me? Do I get to come to a class? Do I get to come take a free class with Ariel? Is that like,
dude,
like a freebie?
You might have to, like, I don't know. Her classes are filling up. But that 5:30 p.m. class, which I know is like, yeah, that they I don't know, that between you and Sarah, that class is bumping lately.
It's a fun. I love the course. Don't get me wrong.
You what?
Said I love the 9:30 class too. Don't get me wrong, but
that's true. That class is exactly as you remember.
They got thick skin. You can talk badly about them. We do all the time.
Yeah, they know who they are. And they 100% own
it. They've got a freaking sheet, a placard, or like an award, a certificate that denotes them as.
As the 9:30 class.
That's the 9:30 class.
Yeah, they're awesome. Cool. Thanks, Ariel.
Yeah. Awesome. No worries. Well, it was nice meeting you.
Same, and I'm sure we'll meet in person at some point. So. Oh,
that's true. We may have to cross paths because are you? I'm assuming you're in made quarterfinals, correct?
I did.
Yes, as did Colin.
Oh, congrats! That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, if you need a space, let me know. I got one.
Sweet.
Well, what's his plan? Is he? I mean, I don't know if you know. Is he going to be doing them at? I'm assuming he's going to do them at Fairwinds.
Yeah. So he also just started CCTI, or is like about to start. It's like the Chiefs school stuff, which takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
He was looking at the dates. I don't think he had his quarterfinals doesn't start until like the end of the month.
Yep. It's the last weekend. It's 31st, 1st, and 2nd.
Yeah.
Individuals are this week.
I'm
not doing those. I'm just going to do the Masters.
Soap's in there.
Definitely.
46-year-old bones can't handle two freaking quarterfinals.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, we'll definitely do it at Fairwinds. I got my judges cert and stuff, so we got to look into it more because this is the first time he's ever qualified and stuff. So we're definitely
cool.
Yeah, I think he was shocked too because he thought he wasn't, and then we were like, no, look, your age group in your region. Like there you are.
Yeah.
I was kind of like,
Shit.
yeah. I think
It's
that's
I gotta pay
of
$50 to suffer for an entire other weekend.
Yeah. Well,
5 workouts.
yeah. The timing of it is he's got to squeeze it in between doing the cheap stuff now. He's like, I think if I go to Baltimore and then I can come back and do that here at this time. And so we got a little to figure out, but we'll get it.
It'll be awesome.
Cool. Well, good luck to him. That's awesome.
Thank you. I'm gonna go check on my children now.
You do
They're
that.
being surprised by the grandparents, but I still need to go check on them.
Sure they are.
All right.
All right, Ariel. Talk to you later.
Later,
Bye.
kid.